You know, when I was shopping for equipment out here at the property, including the zero turns, tractors, excavator, things like that, a lot of folks in the comment section said it's not the brand, it's the company you buy it from, right? It's the business that you purchase it from, the store. How well are they going to take care of you after the sale? Will you be able to get parts for it? Will you be able to get it in for service? And again, it's not necessarily that one is superior to another in terms of reliability or dependability. It's the fact that eventually they're going to need service. They're going to break down. They're going to have problems. And if you can't get the parts you need to repair them, or you can't get them into the shop, well, that causes all sorts of issues for you, right? You have a piece of equipment that's possibly going to be broken down for a long period of time. All that said, the price was never really a factor for a lot of these commenters. They said, you know what, go with Bad Boy, go with John Deere, go with Bobcat. All of them make products that are usually pretty good, but at the end of the day, they're all going to have problems and they're all going to need to be serviced. So pick the store that gives you the best service, because that's really what you're looking for. I think in the lawn care industry, that's huge, right? Like this Scag mower, if I purchased this 3 hours out of town, well, obviously it'd be difficult to service if I needed them to service this unit, and it would make it challenging. And I think a lot of people kind of think along those same realms when it comes to RVs. But this video is to talk to you all about a question that I get asked so many times and was recently asked again, and that is, why do RVs depreciate as bad as they do? Believe it or not, it's very relevant to this. Hang tight, I'll be right back. You know, one of the coolest little critters I have out here is this large Texas spiny lizard. Super cool, super friendly. He makes his way in and out of the shop, and he has gotten super fat because I get tons of roly-polies that are just all over the place out here, and he cleans them all up. Like, I'll have hundreds of them laying out here. The next morning they'll all be gone, and my little lizard friend will be like 3 times the size he normally is until he burns off the weight. Okay, so topic of today's video is RV depreciation. Why do RVs depreciate so dang fast? And does that make them really poor investments, right? I know a lot of folks, including myself, have made the term that RVs aren't necessarily like a financial investment. It's an investment in time with your family, right? It's basically like going to the movies. That's probably one of the worst investments you can make financially, but what you get out of it is time spent with your loved ones, and you get to enjoy something that possibly makes you laugh, smile, cry, you know, angry, it doesn't matter. But the whole point of a recreational vehicle is like anything else that's recreational. It's the recreation that you're paying for. That said, though, does it mean that an RV is a poor financial investment as well? You know, I would probably say, yeah, it is. I mean, if you're just looking at it purely from, should I spend my money on this in the hopes that I'm going to get more money back whenever it's time to get rid of it, that's never going to happen. You know, even if you try to say it's going to be cheaper to stay in an RV versus a hotel, if you're traveling a lot, I mean, like every single week, that might hold true if you stay at relatively pricey hotels. But the fact is, if you stay at a really nice RV resort, you're probably going to spend about as much, maybe a little less, than a cheaper hotel room. So it just depends on what you consider to be comfortable for you, right? An RV is a great solution for those who want to get out and about and enjoy the country, travel around, and get close to the thing that they came to see. So if you want to get close to a lake, well, you might not have a hotel that's close to a lake. So commuting from a hotel to a lake and then having to commute back might not be as nice as being able to just look out your window at the lake and have a campfire and cook outside and just enjoy the lake because you're sitting directly beside it. Again, all that said, jumping back into the point of this video, why are RVs poor investments? Now, from a financial aspect, there's one thing that I do want you to keep in mind. What I was talking about earlier related to the lawnmower and the tractor and the mini excavator and all these other things, yes, it matters when you buy that stuff, who you buy it from. Because if it breaks down, you want that dealer to be very close to you and you want them to take very good care of you. When it comes to RVs, this is the problem you can run into. The margin between a sale price and an MSRP can be absolutely insanely huge. And because of that margin, you could buy this RV at one dealership for $120,000 and another dealership might sell it for $80,000. And because of that $40,000 difference, and anywhere in between, depending on what dealership you go to, it absolutely is going to depreciate differently for every single person. Meaning, if I paid 80 grand for this RV at one dealership and you paid 120 grand at another dealership, and the depreciation that's coming off of it is based off of the lower price, the 80 grand, well, obviously that means your unit's going to depreciate significantly quicker than my unit. That's the whole reason why it is so important to negotiate and pay a good price for your RV. That's the reason why you never rush into purchasing an RV. You don't go to a dealership and say, I found the one I love. I don't care what price they're asking for. I don't care if they're gonna give me a discount. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna research what other dealerships are selling this unit for, and then I'll go back and make a decision on if I'm willing to pay what they're asking. Because again, let's say we're talking about the Surveyor, and let's say that the Surveyor has an MSRP of $55,000. Well, if I know that a dealership nearby is selling it for $45,000 and a dealership that's 2 hours away is selling it for $35,000, and the dealership that's nearby might do a little better on their price and get it maybe down to $40,000, a $5,000 difference between the two dealerships now, is it worth it to me to purchase it close by to have better access and possibly better support from the dealership locally versus save the extra $5,000 and get it serviced at a dealership further away, or hope that the dealership locally is going to give me the same type of service even though I didn't buy it from them? Now, what you have to factor into this, though, is if you think it's worth it, and you think it's worth paying $5,000 more, or shoot, even the $10,000 more, just keep in mind, if you're financing that money, or even if you're not financing it and you're just trying to figure out what your investment is on that, if I purchase this unit for $35,000, you purchase it for $45,000, the depreciation isn't going to be based off of your $45,000 that you spent. It's going to be based off of the $35,000 that I spent, which means if they base, let's say, 40% value after 3 or 4 years, and that's what they're willing to pay, you're going to be way, 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 way more upside down than I will be. So that is why it is so critically important to know the price of the unit you're shopping for, know what other dealerships are selling it for, and negotiate to get as low a price as possible. And then essentially the delta, the difference between the two prices, between one dealership that may be further away or may not provide as good a service as another dealership and the one close to you, you need to get those numbers as close together as possible. If that other dealership is selling the unit for $35,000, your dealership selling it for $45,000, if you decide to go with your dealership, are you really getting $10,000 worth of better service on your RV? Is it worth it? Because if you're financing it, which I would venture to say most people are, if you're financing that, then that's $10,000 additional dollars that you will have to essentially pay off. And if you ever go to resell your RV, you will be an additional $10,000 upside down on it than somebody who paid $35,000. That's why you have to understand what you're getting into when it comes to RVs. You have to understand that it is not so much about the dealership that's close to me offering me the best service. There are so many mobile service centers out there now that can send someone to you to do a repair, and you can actually get reimbursed for mobile repairs by the manufacturer. You just have to make sure that they're willing to do that first. But anyway, you slice it, even if you take it to the dealership you purchased it from, they might only have a handful of people that work on RVs, and you're still going to be in a very long line getting yours worked on. And if that happens, you may not consider that worth the 10 grand that you paid on top of it. And some people pay a lot more than that. You may be looking at a specific brand right now that has this perception of super high quality, so you're willing to pay a lot more for it, even though the margins are pretty much the same. You rush into it and you're like, I'm going to pay 5% under MSRP, even though somebody else is probably paying 30% under MSRP because they shopped around and they looked for the best price. And then you have to now justify, are you getting really that much more RV because you're paying a heck of a lot more? And bottom line is most of that money is profit for the RV dealership. So when it comes to buying an RV, just keep in mind, if you have one dealership that's selling the same floor plan to you for 10, 15, 20 grand more, or even $5,000 more, and you're financing it, you will be additionally upside down on top of that unit versus someone who paid the lower price. And that's something you have to think about. So when it comes to depreciation on RVs, the goal here is that you have the least amount of depreciation as possible, which means you have to negotiate for the lowest possible price. I can't tell you what that is. You have to do the legwork, you have to research it, and you have to find out just by doing Google searching. Find out what other dealerships are selling it for. Find out what the range that you've seen is. Look up 10 different dealers that sell the exact same unit, same year, same package, and find out what the differences in prices are. Find out how close to Indiana they are. That's a big part of it because there's transportation costs getting it to a dealership closer to you possibly. Let's say you live in Florida or California, but you always want to negotiate the best possible price you can on your RV, mainly because anything above the lowest price is going to be extra money that you owe on, and it's going to be extra money that you're upside down at the end of the day. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.